Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're grabbing the ultimate survival guide to bypass all that dense medical jargon and reveal the fascinating, totally invisible machinery of how drugs actually work in your body. Have you ever popped a pill and wondered, what exactly happens next? Well, we are going to find out. Right on the cover of our source material, Pharmacology in 7 Days for Medical Students, the authors drop a massive truth bomb. Memorizing the side effects of 150 different drugs is practically impossible. Your brain just scrambles it all. So instead of cramming, we're going to learn the overarching rules. We learn the systems, because once you understand the system, the rest of it just naturally falls right into place.
Okay, let's jump straight into the syllabus. We're breaking this massive scientific discipline into 4 quick modules. First, the Pharmacology Survival Guide. Second, Journey Through the Liver. Third, Interactions and Drug Resistance. And finally, Mechanisms of Action Explained.
Starting off with Module 1, the Pharmacology Survival Guide, subtitled Cracking the Medical Code. Let's get the fundamental laws of medicine down before things get too complicated.
Look, we've all seen those exhausting, completely unpronounceable lists of drug classes. Take cephalosporin antibiotics, for example. You've got first, second, third, and fourth generations, and every single one has its own unique list of therapeutic uses and adverse effects. Honestly, it's enough to make med students want to cry. But guess what? We are going to completely ignore those massive lists today. We aren't here to memorize, we're here to really understand.
The absolute most crucial thing to grasp is that true pharmacology is about rational drug therapy. This isn't just handing someone a pill and hoping for the best. It's a highly calculated strike. It means using the exact right drug, the perfect dose, the proper route of administration, and for the exact right duration. You wouldn't give a drug through an IV if it's supposed to work locally in the gut, right? Every single variable has to be optimized for safety, efficacy, and cost. Now, optimizing how a drug enters the body brings us to a massive concept, bioavailability. Simply put, this is just a measure of how much of that pill you swallowed actually survives the journey to reach your bloodstream intact. If you inject a drug straight into a vein, the bioavailability is a perfect 100%. But an oral pill? Oh, that's a completely different story. It has to survive a pretty brutal obstacle course. To understand why that bioavailability isn't always 100% for oral meds, we need to move to Module 2, Journey Through the Liver, basically the body's chemical factory. So you swallow a pill, it absorbs through the gut, sure, but before it gets anywhere near the rest of your body, it goes straight to the liver. It hits what's called first-pass metabolism. Your hepatic enzymes, specifically the cytochrome P450 system, act like this incredibly strict security checkpoint. They end up destroying or altering a huge chunk of the drug before it can even do its job. That's exactly why certain drugs have to be given in much, much larger doses orally compared to an IV, just to make sure enough of it survives the liver security and makes it to your systemic circulation. You can really think of your liver enzymes as a literal factory assembly line, and the wild part is, this line can be manipulated by the drugs you take. Some drugs act as enzyme inducers. They crank up the speed of the assembly line. If you take an inducer, your liver chews through your other medications way too fast, dropping their blood levels and totally killing their efficacy. On the flip side, we have inhibitors. These slow the factory right down. So if a drug's metabolism is inhibited, it builds up in your blood, and that can dangerously increase its toxicity. It is a constant, super delicate balancing act. But science is pretty clever. Since we know the liver loves to metabolize things, why not use that against it? Enter the prodrug. We can actually give you an inactive parent molecule. Take the immunosuppressant azathioprine, for example. It is totally inactive when you swallow it. It cruises safely all the way to the liver, and the liver's own enzymes metabolize it. But here's the trick. Instead of destroying it, that metabolism yields a therapeutically active metabolite called mercaptopurine. We literally trick the liver into turning the drug on. How cool is that?
Let's move right along to Module 3, Interactions and Drug Resistance. This is essentially chemical warfare in the body. When 2 drugs meet up in your system, they generally do one of 2 things. They either team up or they fight. With synergism, drugs cooperate to boost their final effect way beyond what either could do alone. The antibiotic cotrimoxazole is a textbook example here. 2 drugs joining forces to dramatically broaden their antibacterial power. On the complete opposite end, we have antagonism, where they literally do battle and cancel each other out. A super simple chemical antagonism happens every time you take an antacid. The basic sodium bicarbonate reacts directly with the hydrochloric acid in your stomach, destroying it to create just salt and water.
But hey, it's not always drugs fighting drugs. Sometimes your own body fights back against the drug through a phenomenon called tachyphylaxis. Now, this isn't that slow tolerance you build up over months. This is rapid, acute tolerance. If you take certain indirectly acting drugs, like ephedrine for instance, repeatedly in short intervals, they just rapidly deplete your body's natural chemical stores, and suddenly, the drug stops working entirely. Pumping more of the drug into your system won't do a thing. The only cure is to take a drug holiday so your body can naturally replenish those stores.
We've been looking at the whole body so far, but for Module 4, Mechanisms of Action Explained, we are zooming way in for the microscopic heist.
Check out the intricate biochemical machinery of a single parietal cell. These are the cells lining your stomach. You've got all these inputs over on the left side: acetylcholine, histamine, gastrin. When those stimulants bind to the cell, they activate protein kinases and trigger this big rush of calcium. And all of that electrical and chemical signaling flows across to power that little circle on the edge, the H+, K+ ATPase proton pump. That pump is the literal engine that actively churns out harsh, acidic hydrogen ions into your stomach so you can digest your food.
Now watch how this all comes together. This is where proton pump inhibitors, or PPIs, pull off a thrilling chemical heist to stop heartburn dead in its tracks. Step 1. The drug sneaks in as a highly lipid-soluble, inactive basic prodrug. Step 2. Because it's a base, the second it hits the highly acidic environment of the stomach's parietal cells, it gets chemically trapped. Step 3. It rapidly ionizes, concentrating its power up to 1,000-fold. And step 4, the activated drug physically jams the gears. It permanently binds to that exact proton pump, totally shutting down acid production until your body literally builds brand new pumps. It is a highly targeted microscopic takedown.
As we wrap up this explainer, just consider the incredibly complex chemical warfare, the brilliant strategic prodrug trickery, and the super delicate biological balance required to make even the most basic medicines work. It really is a marvel, isn't it? So the very next time you take a simple pill to cure a headache or settle your stomach, will you think about the invisible chemical heist happening right inside your own cells? Thanks for joining me today, and I genuinely hope you never look at your medicine cabinet the exact same way again.